What? No. We're already stealing the guy's idea. We're not taking his whole format. God. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to You Can't Prove Anything. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I put my video out about Banlists last week and got quite a response to it. One of the most commented on videos I've ever done. And so I thought it would be kind of fun since I definitely didn't know what Bushiroad should do as far as a ban list goes. I thought it would be fun if we went over some of those ideas that you guys posted and kind of we can agree, we can disagree, and then we can go from there, see how it goes. If this is something that you'd like to see more of, let me know. I think this is something we could have a lot of fun with potentially. So that'd be cool. Leave a like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and we'll just get into it. Shooting the only card that makes premium Narukami remotely viable, bruh. I'm sorry, Chris. All right, so before I get started properly, I did just want to address that the thumbnail for the video was by no means me suggesting that those were cards that need to be banned, kind of a clickbait thing to do, but also those were just cards that I've heard people complain about the most, I would say. Juan was supposed to be on there too. So just if you watch that video, just know that just because of the thumbnail, I'm not suggesting that those are cards that need to be hit. It was just cards that I've heard people complain about, and it also did the job of attracting attention to the video. I think I mentioned that on stream, so hey, speaking of, follow me on Twitch. We're going live every Saturday, and we're doing a couple of streams in the midweek as well. We're hanging out, we're having a good time. This is a tough topic, and there is no magical solve everything way to get the format healthier. I agree. Just right off the bat, I do agree that I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all solution for this, but I do feel like there's probably more of a need for something than what we currently have right now. I personally think Premium is a format where everything sounds and can be broken, only that some things making the game totally one-sided and through this unplayable. Those things have to be addressed to be banned if needed, but more importantly is that we get restriction/ban lists in a more periodic way. This is the only thing I love about the ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh! It comes regularly and everyone knows somewhat around what date a new list will be dropped. I might be wrong, but I think we do kind of know around what time we'll get a ban list or a restriction list, as the case is in Vanguard. I think it's around spring and fall time we have something, or maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like we had that already. The only thing is that we have these restriction list announcements, and for a while it was no changes. So I think for the most part, yes, something regularly, periodic, twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, whatever the case may be. Definitely agree that should be something that should be adopted into the game, especially for a format like Premium, where because it's an eternal format, there's a lot of interactions that cannot be reasonably foreseen until you have, the mad scientists of deck builders look at something and then take it to the lab and completely break it. So I think that we really need a ban list. The thing that should be banned first is the Cray Elemental that stops you from damage denying. Come on, bro, how do you expect me to win against DI if I don't damage deny? It's just unfair. I definitely agree. Huang, whatever name it finally ended up with in English, is a problem. It takes one thing that is a natural part of the game of trying to outplay and play around your opponent and just says, nope, you can't do that. So I do agree that's a problem, and that if we do get some sort of restriction list, ban Huang and Zazan too while we're at it. Why not? I mean, sure, down to 1 is fine, but there's already some degeneracy happening with decks that can search it out as easily as they can. So the issue with any of the bans is support. Support is not evenly given, so if a clan that gets support once a year at most, sometimes a year and a half, looking at Mega Colony and DI, you hit something that is powerful and making them stand at the top. They are going to be garbage for a long time. Then you have clans like all of United Sanctuary who get support every other month, so if you ban something, no worries, something will come out that just breaks the clan again. So I actually don't think this is going to be as much of an issue going forward, right? Because now with our shift to nations, every clan/nation is going to get support every single set. And this is a great change, and I'm glad this is what we have going forward with the format. As far as Premium and V Premium, I guess, as the case goes, because at the end of the day, all support is Premium support. Now that we are going into this format of having these V selection or V whatever it's called, that's going to be happening twice a year. Support really isn't an issue anymore. We're going to be getting support for everything all at once, and I'm really happy with that. And especially if things end up as fun and creative and diverse as clan selection was, I have no worries for the future of the format with that. I don't agree with the Konami Banlist thing, which is totally fair. Vanguard isn't a game that works like that. Engines aren't usable on every deck, so Yu-Gi-Oh bans because you basically are playing Vanguard on Extreme Fight. That's where defensive creep comes in. G Guardians before G3, specific ones, at least some kind of recycling order so games are incentivized to last longer. Now, this is one thing that I think the entire community is 100% in agreement with. Literally just about everybody I've talked to wants more and new G-Guards, and I've even mentioned it in a few videos at this point as well. This is a really interesting idea though that I would love to see happen, is G-Guards before G3. I feel like the game is at a point right now where if you don't just completely cut off the top of the format, we definitely need defensive creep in some way. And I would love to see G guards before that are usable on G2 as long as your opponent's on G3, because really there are so many situations I'm in where because my opponent went first and they also have ways to superior stride, I'm just like, man, if only I could G-Guard. I just wish I could G-Guard. If I could do that, I wouldn't be as hurt right now. So I definitely think that could be something interesting to see in the future if they decide to explore that sort of design space. So, you know, time will tell on that. Maybe a bit of a controversial one, we need to implement a side deck. A lot of the problems we have in this game where decks are just unable to deal with specific types of decks could easily be fixed in my eyes with just slapping a 16 card side deck in Premium. Just my opinions though, no one has to like them. And you know what? That is an important thing to realize, that you can have your opinion, but not everybody has to like them. As far as the side deck goes, we have to adopt a best of 3 format in tournaments first. Do I see that happening? Hard to say. We could. They could go that route. I would like to see it potentially, but I don't know if a side deck necessarily is going to be the thing that fixes everything either. I think it would be interesting to have, especially since the whole Cray Elemental situation they came up with basically exists to be side decked in a certain extent, I feel like. So if we can get best of 3, I would definitely be interested to see what they do with a side deck, and I would just love to see the game become more competitive through that route in general. I feel like the ideal ban list where they hit everything but hit as little as possible would probably be Taro to 1, ban Nue Dio, and ban Jamio Congo. Ban Jamio Congo. Taro to 1, I don't know is necessarily necessary. I think Taro isn't necessarily the problem, but the things that break Taro are. I think in one of my streams a few weeks ago, Zistral / Yellow Card Vanguard was in the stream and said that you ideally ban the engine rather than the card itself. So this also goes for something like Nue Dio. Rather than ban Nue Dio, I think I agree in that you instead ban Hyuga or choice restrict Hyuga and Nue Dio, which does seem kind of counterintuitive because that card does seem like it was made for Hyuga. Nue Dio is still usable in other decks without Hyuga. Hyuga is just the brain dead enabler for that card. You can look at my Yasuye deck profile I did a few months ago. It uses Nue Dio in the G zone, and you can actually go into it fairly often. I think that way you can still have a really powerful card in the clan, but it just takes a bit more skilled play to use it effectively. I think that's probably the best way to go. And as far as Taro, I would almost rather see an errata that errata's Gleipnir to be once per turn, and then rather than just have this broken loop that just kind of feeds into itself, you can still do your Gleipnir shenanigans, but it would again require a bit more forethought because you have to soul blast and with different cards and different cards in different ways to really make it as powerful as it can be. We'll see though. That, like I said, that's just my idea. And like was mentioned, it's my opinion. You don't have to like them. That's kind of just the discussion that we're having. I think the criteria shouldn't necessarily be in favor of restricting more cards, but instead restricting choice cards that have more of an impact and contributing to a lack of interaction and or generally not fun gameplay. If this can be done and be done well, I think I agree. If we can choice restrict things well enough to where instead of having to just outright ban cards, we can still have them be playable, but just not as broken as they currently are, that would be pretty ideal in my opinion, because then nobody loses out on being able to use cards they have. How you do it and how you do it well, I don't really know, but that's also not my job. I don't think going for extensive Konami style ban lists is the ideal thing to make premium more balanced. I believe to make it more slow pace or toned down, we should have more counters against combos and making them pay more cost, something like hand traps. Also, we really need side decking in tournaments because the game is too fast and should be best of 3 even in round 1 through 5. So again, we have an opinion on side decking. Already said my piece on that. I would think that would be cool to do, especially if we move to a best of 3 format. More counters would also be great. And this is something that can happen through just standard existing. They can introduce new cards to a nation, and now that those cards are essentially divvied up to multiple clans, we can see something like that going forward. It might be a little bit trickier, especially if they do something with orders. I think orders just work a lot better in standard right now, just by virtue of the ride deck existing. It can let you play around with wonky grade ratios because you're no longer having to worry about your consistency in riding up, but really we'll just have to see. I do think that defensive creep is needed at this point. The power creep in Vanguard up to now has just been like excessively aggressive, and it just continues to be so, and we really kind of need like a shield to balance out all this sword stuff that's going on, if that makes any sense at all. If you ran remote tournaments with different ban lists just to see how this would play out, I'd be super down. Now, I included this because this is something I would actually really like to do, is to perhaps host some remote fight tournaments or card fight area tournaments, whatever the case may be, with different ban list ideas, just to kind of see how the format shakes up. So if that is something you would like to be a part of, would like to see, let me know in the comments. We can see about doing something like that in the future. I think some hits are necessary. I feel like Bushiroad doesn't really care about the format. There's a lot that needs to be cleaned up, but I doubt we will see the change we desire. Now, this is something that I've heard from quite a few people at this point, and I think is kind of unfortunate. There does seem to be, at least within some pockets of the community, that Bushiroad just doesn't care about the premium format. And I can understand why you would perhaps think that way, because at least in Japan, Bushiroad tends to be very Japan centered when it comes to what they do. And in Japan, standard is by far the most popular format, and premium is more of a niche. Premium has been largely seen as more of a Western format, but I have a lot of optimism moving forward with Keita Mori at the helm. He seems to really be putting forth an effort to not only with the Japanese side of things, but really pushing for the English side of things as well. And that gives me a lot of hope. Cautiously optimistic, because, you know, we've seen a lot of things go south before, but for once I feel reasonably optimistic going forward, and I think we're going to really great places from here on out. So we'll just have to see, but I do feel like we'll see some love shown to the premium format as well. I'd like more defensive deck options, even unrestricted Ellie levels maybe. Now again, everyone wants defensive options. That's not at all surprising, and I definitely agree. Unrestricted Ellie levels, you know, I don't know, maybe. The thing is I never actually got the chance to play against Ellie before, so not a lot of Bermuda players around me where I am, and I only ever went up against Bermuda Triangle at a big tournament once, and it was after the Ellie ban. So I can't speak too accurately on how much I would like that, but I feel like with the current level of aggression we have going out, I feel like letting Ellie unbanned is probably an okay move at this point. Unbanned stuff. And with a premium collection-like product based on defense more than offense, premium landscape can enter the terrain of everything is broken, so play what you like. So I agree with the sentiment here, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with the proposed execution. Could that work? I mean, absolutely. But then I think you kind of get into the level of what Buddy Fight was at a certain point, which I didn't necessarily enjoy, which is why I didn't really play it. So maybe I also don't have quite the experience needed to speak on that. But I just know that it got to a point where it kind of felt like that, and I just didn't enjoy it as much anymore. But again, here we have more defensive creep, more G guards. Sounding like a broken record at this point, but come on, please. If they made a big ban list, they can move V Premium to regular Premium, reprint a large portion of legacy cards, and create new G cards. Again, new G cards, wow. I don't know if I agree about moving V Premium to regular Premium. Essentially, I guess what that would mean is just getting rid of V Premium. I think it's a little too early to say if a format should go or not. Let's wait until, you know, restrictions ease and we can actually have proper events again, and then see what they decide from there. But I would like to see all 3 formats go forward from here on out if we could. And I guess essentially 4 formats, because we also have 0, which again is like another way to play Vanguard. Not really in favor of getting rid of any particular format, but I do agree that we need a reprint set with legacy cards. And if you haven't seen my video about that, you can check it out right here. I don't like the idea of huge ban lists, since they make the game harder to get into and let the balance team slack on future-proofing later card designs. So I don't know if, just with that right there, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because I think it kind of, not necessarily let the design team slack on card designs, but if they can kind of create with, you know, not having to worry about everything else and then just kind of ban things as needed, I think that's probably better in my opinion, because then you don't have to restrict your creativity going forward. Because I think we're kind of in a situation right now where the design team already has had to be very, very careful about designing grade 3 Dark Irregulars because of the existence of Gastile. If we can get to a situation where rather than them having to tiptoe around existing cards already, they can just make cool things that they want to make and then adjust the format as necessary, I think I'd be more in favor of that. I do think Premium should get more regular bans. Standard gets the benefit of constant sets shaking up the format, but Premium doesn't creep as fast as Standard, so it should be touched on more in my opinion. As for large sweeping bans, I'm generally against them. I generally don't think they're healthy for a game for the reason of losing investments. That being said, I really think Premium is in need of a nuclear bomb ban list right now. I don't know if I'd necessarily go nuclear bomb level with the ban list, but I do agree that, especially up till now, it'll be less so now that Standard is overdress and what was Standard is now V Premium. V Premium is going to be updated, you know, a little bit more, I guess, but it's going to be updated not quite as much. And Premium, all support is Premium support, as I've said. But yeah, definitely shake some things up. I think it'd be really interesting to just kind of to shake things up and then just see where things settle. But I think that is going to do it for this one. I just want to make sure I say thank you for everybody for all the responses I got. There were so many more than what I just covered here. I just kind of picked ones, tried to make them not too repetitive, but also picking certain ones that were repetitive to kind of drive certain points home. So hopefully that's not too annoying. Thank you so much for watching. If you can, please like and subscribe and share and all that good YouTube stuff. We're getting so close to that 1K mark. Like, it is so close. So if you want to help me get there, I would very, very much appreciate it. And then I'll see you next time.